So, you know what? If you just look at it as plain as day as they all sat down and ate food.
Yeah.
Everyone died and she lived. And they all apparently ate the same food according to her.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious, isn't it?
That she gave herself something different.
Yes.
This podcast is hosted by RPP.
If you are easily spooked, creeped, or offended, this might not be the podcast for you.
Welcome back to the fridge. This is I Think My Fridge is Haunted. My name is Gemma. I'm here with Beck today. You know Beck from our Chappelle Corby series. And which one?
And the Glee Curse.
Glee
and
Curse.
Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate, one of our favourites.
Our culty friends.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
Thank you
I'm
for
very
coming.
excited.
So last week I just did this on my own, but you've been spending a lot of time here right here at RPP Studios.
I have.
And you're about to launch your own podcast as well.
I am. Thank you for introducing me to the amazing studio here and for introducing me to how to be a podcaster. And I'm about to launch my own women's empowerment. I say women's empowerment podcast, but I think it's just really me relating business and things that have happened in your life and how they can affect you as a business owner and leader.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Life is a lot. So I think we're actually going to call it Beck's Life, It's a Lot.
I think it's stuck already.
I think it has. I ran it by a few clients yesterday at the salon. So, yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be great. I think it'll be great. Thank you.
Jumping straight in from when we left off last week. So let's go back to last Monday, which was the 5th of May. Also, if you haven't seen my last 3 videos on the mushroom situation, some people are calling it the mushroom murders, some people are calling it the mushroom trial.
It was so funny on the way here.
It's the mushroom situation.
Well, I was talking to my girlfriend Siobhan on the way here, and we're having dinner later tonight. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to go have this podcast with my friend about that." She says, any group situation I'm in at the moment. I'm like, "Hi, how you going? What do you think of the mushroom situation?" So she can't wait for me to get there tonight.
Hashtag what election?
Literally. I'm on board. Let's go.
I'll list the last 3 episodes that I've done in the description box, just so you know. So, of course, we've now seen Simon Patterson's testimony, both last week and on the Monday, in which he detailed just basically his relationship with Erin, as well as their several breakups. He talked about meeting her. They had a couple of kids. They've got quite a few properties. He talked about they had taken a few international trips. They had lived in WA for a while. And around 2015, they kind of pretty much broke up for good.
Can I just be a bit judgy for a second? I would not look at her and think that she had multiple properties.
Well, she's had money left to her in wills.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so from what I can gather...
From wills from natural causes?
So I believe her grandmother died in 2006, and that was when she was left $2 million.
Wow.
And also, I believe, I'm not sure when her father passed away, but I'm pretty sure her mother passed away in 2019, and she was left another certain amount of money at that point as well. So she owns like 2 or 3 properties in the Gippsland area. She owns a house in WA. She used to have the house in Glen Waverley, which she sold last year.
Right.
I think there could be one other, but I can't remember where it is. So they've got some fair real estate between them. So one thing that Simon talked about this week was that Erin had sent an, quote, inflammatory message accusing him of something to the family chat. And he was quite incensed about that. So they have this family chat, which is his parents, him and her.
So weird.
On Signal, which is like a WhatsApp type of app. Did message...
you know, sorry, just side note, that's what VicPol used to message each other.
VicPol uses Signal. I think it's like because it's like encrypted and it's really
encrypted,
safe.
But do you know the messages apparently disappear after 24 hours?
Well, there you go.
Yes.
It's like a Snapchat.
Literally.
Snapchat for adults.
Is that even a real thing? This is what our money is paying for, so they can use Snapchat for encrypted messages.
You could probably screen grab it. Yeah. Well, which he probably has.
Yeah.
It says the message was not read out in court, but it really upset Simon both then and even to this day.
So they don't know what the message is?
No, but something... He talked about how December of 2022, his mum, Gail, had a birthday party. And he had just mentioned in passing to Erin, are you going to the birthday?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
or
and
dinner?
she wasn't
It wasn't even
invited.
a party. It was just a dinner. And Gail had just forgotten to invite her. And she said, well, you're welcome to come. And Erin was all, no, I know when I'm not wanted. And then she kind of had a bee in her bonnet ever since then.
But why are they all so friendly if they split up?
Right?
Like the whole thing's fucking, sorry if you let us swear on this, the whole thing's very weird right from day one. Why are they coming to dinner?
Mm-hmm.
Anywho.
We'll come back to that.
Okay, great.
And from what I've read as well, her kids don't even have an extra close relationship with the grandparents. I mean, you know, like they see them and stuff, but they're not like super, super close. So here's something interesting. According to the ABC, the court was shown messages that Erin sent to the family group chat in December 2022, where she complained about her husband formally declaring himself as separated on his tax return. She had a big problem with this. Ms. Patterson Erin, whatever you want to call her, Ms. Patterson, she believed that the change meant she could no longer claim about $15,000 per year in tax benefits, and that she had been shortchanged a further $90,000 in child support payments that would have been received if the government knew the couple had not been together for several years. Why is she so worried about money? Why is she so worried about money?
Like I said, did Nana die of natural causes?
Just sell another property. Like, it's not a big deal. You can. She seems pretty independent,
right?
I feel like her dragging him into this it's more than the money. It's about control.
Yeah.
It's weird to me. It's like, you've already got money. Why are you bitching about it?
Angry lady.
Maybe.
Bit psycho, maybe.
During his testimony, Simon... Okay, I found this interesting. Did you find this interesting? He didn't speak badly of Erin.
I did think that.
But he didn't... I mean, he didn't make her out as the best person in the world, but he never said anything negative about her.
From while he was being questioned from either lawyer?
Exactly.
Okay.
I thought he was very
fair.
scared
of her?
What's she going to do?
But this was the thing. When I heard that, like, it had been quite, not cordial, but it had been quite... No, like what you said, like he didn't say anything inflammatory about her or anything at all. I thought, oh my God, this is a woman that has killed your parents.
Well, that's the question,
like,
isn't it?
What's happening here?
I think maybe he's just taking the high road and he's just being as fair as possible and letting the justice system take its course.
It's a very hard thing to do.
Hard thing to do. And let's not forget, he comes from a very faithful family. Maybe they have turned to their religion for strength and not to just fly off the handle, which many people would have.
Absolutely.
You know, it wasn't some Dickensian finger pointing in the courtroom.
It was that woman.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm so glad that we had the same reference then. Thanks.
But he was clearly devastated by the whole event. He was emotional at times.
Right.
They had to give him a box of tissues at some point.
Of course.
Just on a side note, she's crying all the time, basically, in court.
Mushroom lady?
Yeah. So I feel like I'm just kind of... I'm going back and forth on whether she did it or not, and I'm angry at her for making me feel so confused. I just want to say,
lunch,
did you or did you
I
not?
know. And you said this at lunch, and I'm like, look at my friend. She's so consumed by this woman. And I said, I'm surprised you haven't asked me to do a drive up to. I'm like, why are you not immortal? Why are you not there covering the case live?
Chris.
Right. And
I asked if I could take the radio truck with all like the broadcasting equipment in it.
What'd she say?
She said I could.
Okay.
I can't drive a truck. I've never driven a truck. I mean, I could.
YOLO.
Shout out to Casey and Mark from Peanut Trash podcast in Chicago. They asked me to drive out because they're very invested in this case.
I love that.
Anyway.
It's actually not even far from where we live. It's like an hour and 15 minutes. Like we can easily
I looked
go.
it up from my place. It's an hour and 46 minutes.
Right?
What was not brought up was his own trips to the hospital. Simon, as we know, in the past has had gut health problems.
Yes.
In which he was sent to hospital and was very seriously ill. I believe that was in 2022, 21 and 22. Mm-hmm. And that was why she had the attempted murder charges, 3 of them against him, which were now dropped.
Yeah, but she 100% cooked him that food though. Is that what they're saying? Or it's unclear what he was actually ill from?
They're not raising it. It's not admissible in this case.
It's so strange, isn't it?
We'll never know. So next on the stand were those friends that we heard about in the first week from the Kelly Lane True Crime Facebook group.
Oh my God, Kelly Lane,
You didn't watch video 1, did you?
Is Kelly Lane the lady that killed her baby?
That's correct.
No, I know that, Gemma, because I didn't watch the video, but I saw your post and then I remembered about her on Instagram and then I went down the Instagram rabbit hole about her because didn't she just get found, guilty? She just got released. Something happened and then I reread the whole story again.
I can't really remember.
But I know exactly what you're talking about. She's the netballer. She gave birth and popped her baby in the bin and then went to the wedding.
Well.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Also, RIP little baby.
So Erin was in this group that discussed the Kelly Lane case and other true crime cases.
Right.
A bunch of them, about 20 of them made friends and made like a little chat group of their own. So the friends that were actually in court questioned were Christine Hunt, Daniela Barkley and Jenny Hay. From those ladies, we heard about the dehydrator again.
Yes.
That dehydrator that EPAT said to police that she'd never heard of.
Yes.
Well, Jenny said that around February or March 23, Erin had bought a dehydrator and seemed to be using it particularly to dehydrate mushrooms. Now, Erin even sent the group pictures of it on her kitchen bench.
Okay.
And maybe she did forget that she bought it, but not to worry.
Have you seen a dehydrator?
The shop owner came forward with the literal receipt.
Right. I'm like, they're quite
it's like you would
thing.
remember.
Yeah,
you would
absolutely.
remember. Yeah. It's a sizable
situation.
Yeah.
Implement.
So Erin later said in the group that she was also amazed at how much the dehydrator would shrink the mass of mushrooms. And she also sent a picture of the dehydrator with mushrooms on the shelves as well. So the dehydrator's had a moment. She knows about it.
Oh, she knows.
So Jenny Hay from the True Crime Group spoke to EPAT on the Monday after the lunch, and Erin said the mushrooms had come from, as we know, an Asian grocer. Matthew Patterson, son of Galen. Matt Pat, love it. Son of Gail and Don Patterson and Simon's brother, also asked her where the mushrooms came from. Quote, she mentioned there were fresh mushrooms from Woolies and dried mushrooms from a Chinese shop in the Oakley area. Now, toxicologist Dr. McDermott, who was also cross-examined in court, says he offered to list all the Chinese food stores in Oakley. She told him she wouldn't be able to recall even if he named each shop.
Do you think that, so you don't think it came from the Asian grocer? Oh, you think she went there on purpose? Oh, so she could say later on, she had plausible deniability.
Her own counsel has conceded that she picked the mushrooms. There was no Asian grocer.
Oh, so that whole thing was blown out the water
now. Day one, they said that. There was no Asian grocer.
No Asian grocer.
No. And also, and let's not forget, this is all in the same sort of like window of 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
When questioned in the hospital by Dr. Webster, where the mushrooms came from, he said this was her response, quote, yep, single word answer, Woolworths.
So it's gone from Asian groceries to picking them to Woolworths.
She's never actually mentioned picking them.
Right, but didn't you say her counsel conceded that she had picked them?
Yeah. They've said...
When you say picked them, like went out mushrooming and picked them out the wild. Yeah.
Yeah. There was no Asian grocer. It's not the Asian grocer. What her and counsel is saying...
I don't think it'd be Woolies either, just saying.
Look, she might have got a... Okay,
maybe a mix.
My friend works at Woolies in Leongatha, or she used to, and she used to see EPAT at the shop.
Oh, okay.
I mean, she probably used the bulk of mushrooms from Woolies.
Okay.
But then
so some fancy ones from the side of the road.
Put some fancy ones in with it. Yeah, that's right. But her counsel is basically saying it was an accident. This whole thing was an accident.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, yeah.
Daniela Barkley, another friend from that chat group, was called as a witness via video link. She says in the chat group, they had about 18 to 20 people, and, quote, for the first few years, Erin was quite active in there, but in the last year or so, she barely posted. She just comes in sometimes to comment on news articles. So she kind of like sort of lurks about a little bit and, you know, does a thumbs up here and there, that kind of thing. Daniela said Erin complained on several occasions about her estranged husband, Simon. She referred to him as coercive and abusive. However, Ms. Barkley said that Erin's life revolved around her children. She even said, I thought she was a wonderful mother. Could this just be all about the kids? Keeping the kids for herself, being the lone parent? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm like, do you know a lot of people that are perpetrators of abuse and coerciveness will try and blame the other partner though?
True.
So, yes.
Yep.
So, you know what? She could have been really mean to him and maybe she was the coercive one and manipulative one. And I mean, she must have had some kind of pull when she's still speaking to the in-laws and they're having lunch and blah, blah, blah. And she got angry over the tax thing and...
yeah, I mean, generally, if you're in a relationship with a coercive person, you block them out.
Right.
Like, I don't want anything to do with you.
Right.
So on Tuesday, the 6th of May, Ian Wilkinson takes the stand. He was the survivor.
Yes.
So he said he'd never actually been inside their house. So she invited them over, but that he'd been like over to drop something off just at the doorstep, but he'd never been inside.
What was the premise of getting them there all for lunch?
Well, the cancer.
Oh, that's right. The cancer. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. I was like, why are we there for lunch? Yeah, I'm back.
So when they got to the house, Erin gives them a tour of the house and garden. Ian said that the invitation was unusual because they had not been invited to Erin's place before. And it was more unusual when they realised Simon was not attending, since he was the link between
them all, yes.
Between all of them.
Yes.
On a side note, when the prosecution called Ian and Heather's daughter Ruth to the witness box, she also said that when she found out that Erin had invited them to lunch, she responded, quote, really? I was kind of confused. And her mother said, yes, we were surprised also, because that had never happened before.
Exactly.
According to the ABC, Ian said that his wife, Heather, wanted to look at the pantry because apparently she had like an awesome pantry.
Right.
You know how sometimes you go to someone's house and you're like, oh my God, you've got a butler's pantry, whatever.
Yeah.
And she wanted to know, like, how do you set your stuff out?
Yeah. Because
she was really interested. Erin was reluctant to show them the pantry.
Okay.
And Ian also said Erin plated all the food despite offers for help.
And the different plate. Didn't she have a different plate?
Different plate as well.
That's right, yeah.
Both Heather and Gail were offering to help serve up the food. The offer was rejected and Erin plated. He said he did not see where the beef Wellington on the plates had come from before it was plated. And he said each person had an individual serve. So it was like a individually wrapped, like a pasty.
Oh.
Like, so they all had their
own.
own.
A big one and slice it up.
Like you normally would.
Yeah, okay.
They were individuals.
I mean, they sound lovely.
Beef Wellington is lovely.
I've never had it.
Oh, it's great.
I would imagine I'd love it. Yeah.
Louis does a good beef Wellington.
Great.
I'll get him to do one for you.
Thanks.
Again, the plates are mentioned. Ian said there were 4 large grey dinner plates and 1 smaller plate, which was a different colour. It was an orangey tan colour. So Mr. Wilkinson said Gail picked up 2 of the grey plates, Heather picked up 2 of the grey plates, and Erin picked up the odd plate and carried it to her place at the table. After the lunch, Erin announced that she had cancer.
I'm so sorry. I want to laugh, which is terrible reaction, but it's just such a preposterous thing in this story that's already preposterous.
I have questions for you in a moment. She believed it was very serious. In one quote, she called it "this threat to my life." Now, under cross-examination, Erin's high fancy lawyer, Colin Mandy, questioned whether his client had definitely stated that she had cancer or whether she suspected she had cancer. And Ian says it wasn't an impression. She plainly said she had some sort of cancer.
Right.
Now, I mentioned this when we had lunch on Monday. Later, we found out from Danielle Romanes, who works for the Department of Health, quote, Victoria has a mandatory reporting of cancer diagnosis and detections, she says. This means I would expect a person diagnosed with cancer would have multiple reports to the registry. No entries under Erin Patterson's name were found.
Suspicious.
Ian led a prayer following the lunch, asking for God's blessing on Erin during her treatment, and he asked for wisdom for when she would have to speak to her children. And then after the prayer, they changed topics quickly because the children had returned home. Okay, now I've written something on my phone that I want to ask you.
Excellent.
As a survivor of cancer,
Yes.
Erin's clearly not told anyone else about this because no one else seems to know that she had this cancer. This was a bombshell.
Yeah.
Why did she only tell her ex-partner's family?
Absolutely no idea, because that would be the last people in my life that I would tell.
Where are her friends and family?
Where's her parents?
Well, her parents have passed away.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Well, look, in that case, maybe she looked at them like as her stand-in parents, and that's why they had to know first.
That's the only thing that I can...
You have to remember, you're friends with me and I tell people everything about me all the time on everything. So, you know, I'm a little bit different. I'm probably
and
not
now
the,
you've
I'm probably
got a
not the best
podcast,
person to
so
ask.
you can broadcast all that stuff.
Absolutely. I was worried it was going to get a bit self-indulgent, that podcast, but I think it'll be fine. So I'm probably not the right person to ask. However, I would imagine if she has not had her parents around, then maybe she had them there feeling like they were her people she wanted to tell first.
Potentially.
Or she's a big fat liar and was just ringing them up to kill them. There's that.
Let's keep going.
Keep going, darling.
Ian and Heather got fairly sick that night. He said, I was vomiting fairly regularly and they were camped outside separate bathrooms because they were so sick. Simon Patterson ended up driving Ian and Heather to Corumburra Hospital and was told there was no room at the hospital, so he drove them to Leongatha Hospital instead.
Yeah.
And at the hospital, Heather again says to Ian, it's so weird that the plates were different.
Really? So
So
you feel like she might have had an inkling as to what was happening?
she mentioned it a few times. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Heather and Ian got steadily more and more sick. Ian even loses weeks of memory following the poisoning.
Yeah.
Don and Gail, Simon's parents, had also gone to hospital and were in a bad condition.
Were they all at the same hospital?
So they were at Corumburra Hospital and the others were at
Leongatha.
Leongatha Hospital. However, they were all transported to different hospitals closer to Melbourne later.
Right.
And Don and Gail went to the Austin Hospital.
So at any point, do they mention we've had these mushrooms for lunch? We've eaten mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The hospital were way on it. At first, they thought it would have been the meat.
Right.
And then they started to suspect that maybe it came from like a toxic like mushroom element.
Yeah. Did they hallucinate? I've never had mushrooms. I've just heard stories. So I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, does that happen all the time? Is it only certain types? Maybe it's only certain types.
I don't think it's those types of mushrooms.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so on Wednesday, we hear from Chris Webster, who is one of the doctors that was at the hospital. He was
that first initial hospital, like Leongatha.
He's at Leongatha Hospital. It's the day after the lunch. And Dr. Webster says that he saw Erin in the waiting room. Then he found out that she had discharged herself against advice that she and her children could be in grave danger. So it's really weird. So Erin...
But she knew they weren't.
She says she's like really sick, but then she goes to the hospital. She doesn't want to get treated, signs herself out, and then he rings her phone 3 times.
The doctor?
Each time it goes to voicemail. Mm-hmm. And he says, I really would like you to come back for treatment because you could be very, very sick.
Yeah.
And also your children could be very, very sick if they ate it too.
Yes.
Finally, she comes back to Leongatha Hospital. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Webster says that he told Erin when she got there, look, I've called the police and they're at your house. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So he had his suspicions very early on then too?
Not necessarily in that way.
Okay.
He was just basically...
Oh, like
he
forcing
called
her
the
to
police,
come back, to bring her back.
Exactly.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
But while they were there, he asked them to get a sample of the leftovers from the bin.
Yes.
Erin was reluctant to inform the children and she didn't want to like bother them at school.
Right.
And he said to her, they can be scared and alive or dead.
Right, of course, yes.
So finally, one of the nurses administered IV fluids to Erin, but she said she didn't look unwell like Ian and Heather did.
Right.
She said she remembers Ian being so unwell that he couldn't lift his head from the pillow. And Erin was sitting up and she just didn't really look sick.
Right. Because she didn't eat the poison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And reluctantly, she agrees to have the children brought to the hospital. However, they say that they need to be sent to Monash.
Right, to the children's hospital.
She wants to be with her kids, so they send her in an ambulance to the Monash hospital as well. They also had the paramedic that drove her to the Monash.
Oh, yeah.
Now, her name was Elaine Spencer, and she said that Erin was alert, had good skin colour and no respiratory distress. She was calm and nonchalant. She told them she had had diarrhea up to 30 times before going to hospital, but during the 1 hour and 40-minute trip, she did not need to use the toilet.
If you take away all these other things and just look at the bare bones of what it is.
And also what I don't get is that she, even though other people were quite unwell and going to hospital, she still gave, quote, the leftovers to her children. I'd be
Did she, or did she give them the leftovers of the meal she cooked herself?
Well.
So it looked like she had given them all the same food.
Yeah, this is true.
Right?
Yeah, this is true.
It's pretty like... She had 2 meals going, 2 Wellingtons going, 2 batches.
I'll tell you something else. So when the policeman came to her house...
Yeah. To get the remainder.
The remainder of the food from the bin. So he found it in the outside rubbish bin, like, you know, the big wheelie bin.
Right.
And he said that it was in, you know, when you go to Woolies, to Woolworths, and you get like, you forget to take your bag.
Yeah.
So you've got to buy one of those 25-cent like paper bags or whatever. So she had put the remnants of the beef Wellington in one of those paper bags and then put it in the bin outside.
Okay, so I would do that with meat as well.
Would you?
Yes, because it stinks in your bin after like 2 days. Like it's revolting.
Yeah,
so
that's
I have
a good
put
point.
meat out before.
Yeah,
but
that's a good point.
me, and I'm not a killer. She has done that, hoping no one will find it. Because otherwise, why are you chucking out perfectly good leftovers, babe?
Well, that's
straight away. You do that a week later when you know it's no good to eat anymore.
Yeah, you keep it for a little while.
Right.
And well, see, like, it goes back to what you said. Maybe she did throw out the bad beef Wellington and kept
the good beef
meal
Wellington,
too,
right?
For her
to
kids
keep
to
the
have as
ruse
leftovers.
going. Yeah. Oh, but me and my kids are fine and we ate the same thing.
Yeah, we had the same thing,
babe.
but you didn't.
But you didn't. You're a liar, pants on fire. Is she named in any of the in-laws' wills?
Oh, we don't know that. Who knows?
That would be interesting to see.
See, she might...
Or the kids.
Well, she might not be named.
But the kids
But
might
that would be why she still hasn't been divorced from Simon. She wants to stick with him
For the money.
on the paper.
Right. I mean, I don't think she's sticking with him now.
No,
Are they separated now?
they're still separated.
Yeah. Are they like legally separated though? They're not married.
Well,
Like it's like he filing for divorce.
they call him her estranged
Estranged.
husband, which to me says they're separated,
And he's not going back.
but they're not divorced.
Right, okay,
But
yeah.
they're got
Yeah.
no intention of getting back together.
No, I don't. I feel like they've gone past that point now.
Finally, we had the testimony of the 2 children.
How old are these children?
So the daughter is the younger one, and at the time of the incident, she was 9,
very
and her
young.
brother is 5 years older than her.
Okay.
So he'd be 14.
14.
The daughter, so they weren't in court. It was actually a video testimony, and it was
Right.
actually, it was from the August of 2023, so the month after the lunch. And it showed their police interview.
Oh, wow.
It was like one of those rooms that's like
Grey.
made for kids. Like,
Oh,
like
yeah,
more
yeah.
of a kids interview room.
Yeah,
like,
wow.
had like a comfy seat and some crayons and stuff.
Oh, I never had any of that every time I was arrested.
Oh, honey.
Disappointing.
Why were you getting arrested when you were a kid?
Not kid.
No, they only do that
Definitely
for kids.
20. Yeah, well, I would have appreciated it. FYI, don't get arrested anymore. It's okay.
So the little girl said about the lunch, I wasn't there, so I don't know what happened. She told us we were going to the movies in the morning. I know that my brother and me had some leftovers the next day. And she also said that...
Okay, so if they're having leftovers the next day, but the leftovers were already in the bin, 2 meals.
You're right.
Because when did the policeman go there?
The day after. So it was lunch day,
Yep.
next day,
Yep.
leftovers had on that day. The following day after that, she went to
Policeman.
hospital.
Okay. That could be a discrepancy
It
now.
could be a discrepancy.
Okay.
Okay.
They're lucky we're not on that jury.
They actually are lucky.
They really are.
'Cause we-
This is so out of hand. Excuse me, I've got a question.
yeah. I feel like...
You'd be like, that woman.
Yeah. I'd be
Okay,
yelling words like sustained.
right? Liar.
I'd be like-
Objection.
It's like you're not the judge. Leading the witness.
We need to remove Miss Life from the courtroom. Thank you, bailiff. Jeepers creepers. What? So hang on. So they've gone to the movies. They've come home. They've had the beef Wellington. What's the kid said then?
Well, they had the leftovers the following night.
Right. Okay.
For whatever reason. Now, they didn't describe it as beef Wellington. They said it was some kind of meat.
But 9 and 14.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They're stupid.
In fact, the brother says it was...
Also, I'm a mum. I'm allowed to say that. Yeah.
The brother says it was some of the best meat I've ever had. It was really easy to cut into.
Okay.
Apparently it made an impression.
Okay.
Anyway, the daughter said the next day after the lunch,
Did they ask if their food had mushrooms in it?
they didn't like mushrooms, so they had no mushrooms on their plate.
Well, then, of course they're not sick. So her whole thing is like, me and my kids ate it. It doesn't really fly, does it? You know?
She says she scraped the mushrooms off.
Okay, babe.
Whatever. So the little girl said that her mother needed to go to the toilet a lot the day after the lunch. And she said she saw her go to the toilet about 10 times, quote. I've got a few other notes just on my phone. I'm just going to reach for my phone. Hang
Okay.
on. But that is kind of where we're at. That's
Okay.
what we saw this week.
Right.
There were no mega bombshells
Bombshells.
like what we saw last week. And
Yeah.
I don't know that there will be any more.
Oh, they're on the way. For
You
sure.
think?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of bombshells do you think we could see?
Well, it could be the insurance, like, but the money, the motive. Is she getting on the stand? She'll be called to the stand at some point.
I would presume so.
You know, lots of things happen when the main suspect's called to the stand.
Oh, here's something else that the son said.
The son being the 14-year-old.
The 14-year-old.
Yeah.
He says that Simon had sometimes been difficult towards his mum, saying that
Simon is the dad or the uncle?
Simon is the dad.
Yep.
saying for whatever reason. So Erin changed their schools.
Right.
and she didn't tell Simon, and she didn't put his name on the billing information, but he wanted to be on the billing information.
Right.
So according to the Sun, he would call the school and be asked to be put, you know, as a parent.
Yeah.
The Sun also said that he and his sister never stayed over there at their dad's house anymore because they never did anything there.
Right.
And I think he probably did have quite a nice life with Erin. It says that, you know, he had flying lessons, he had gaming consoles. Like, I think.
So we're back saying now that she was a nice wife?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, no,
Or that
not
she
nice
afforded
wife.
in those because
I
she's
think
like, oh,
she's-
you can allow to have flying lessons, or I'm going to buy you some games.
He had what's been
Right.
described as flying lessons. I would presume that is kind of like some small craft flying
Probably.
lessons.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, how many kids can say that they do that?
Yeah.
She plays board games with them. She plays Lego with them.
So the kids have said this.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, Martha Stewart baked cookies too and she went to jail for embezzlement. So
That was insider trading.
Same. But like, she's still frauding someone. But like, so, you know, mum can play Scrabble and still kill Nan and Pop. Very devious person, but it can happen.
I feel like this week, for the first time, I am swinging.
Conflicted.
I am conflicted.
Where were you at the start? 100% guilty.
Oh,
I know you're
100%
conflicted.
guilty. Liar straight from the pit of
I
hell.
just don't see. All right. Let's say there was meal 1 and meal 2, and maybe there was meal 1 and meal 2. Okay, because you know sometimes when you make food or when extra people come over and you're like, shit, I haven't got enough, and you give the guests the good food and then you just make up some. Do you
Just
know
in
what I
case
mean? Like,
stuff.
could it be that? Or could it be like, you know what, there's not enough gourmet mushrooms for everyone. I want them to have a nice meal.
Yeah.
So I'll give them all the nice mushrooms and I'll just go without. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like a bit of
Yeah.
a self-sacrifice thing.
Right. Okay.
You know, it's like when Melody and I have a box of cookies or whatever, and there's one left, I just think, oh, I'll just give that to Melody. So maybe it was that.
Maybe it was just some like you're
She just didn't
saying
have enough
devil's
ingredients.
advocate.
Absolutely. Could be.
Do you know what came to my mind?
Personally, I think she's a killer, but I'm just helping you with your thoughts.
Just what came to my mind as well was, I wonder if she has a dog. And the reason that I thought that was because, like, you know, when you have people for lunch and stuff, and your
Yeah.
dog kind of hangs around the table
All the time.
Always, my mum will be, oh, here you go, sweetheart.
Saying,
Here you go,
yes,
Hades. Have a little bit of
yes,
this.
Yes.
Someone's always going to be giving the dog
I'm
a little
always
bit of
giving Pip
something,
something, yeah.
under the table.
Yeah.
So I want to know, does she have a dog? And if so, did she mysteriously just put it
Away.
in the backyard for the lunch or something like
Maybe.
that, and say, oh, she'll just be annoying?
Oh, should just be annoying like that. I don't know.
That was
I
just
need
as a
to
dog
ask.
mum that came to my
Yeah.
head. Because I'd be like, if I wanted to poison someone at my home, well, people would be like, why are you putting Hades in the backyard? He's a house dog.
Right.
Everyone knows that.
Has she like cried or stood there and done the press conference, you know, I'm not guilty, I can't believe I'm being accused of
can't
this, I would
fathom.
never do this. Yeah. Has there been any of that?
Only the
I would
interview
be
by the car.
terrified and hysterical.
Only the interview by the car, remember?
In the initial instance.
Yeah, that's all we
That's
know.
it.
That's all we know, where she said, quote, I can't fathom what has happened.
Do you know what though? I can't fathom what has happened it's a really I'd be delirious. You'd be ugly cry, snot coming out. I'm packing Dax that they could even think that I have murdered these people. Oh my God, people died. Like, you'd be terrified, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like, terrified. You wouldn't be like, I just cannot fathom that this has happened.
I mean, she was weepy, but it was weird.
You know.
I just don't believe it. Every time I see that video, I'm just like, I can't believe you. I can't. It just seems so fake to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
What?
before we go as well, I also wanted to say in our last video, I did make one factual mistake, and that was that she allegedly had this cancer scan on the day before the lunch. No, she allegedly had it on the month before the lunch.
Right.
Now, considering we don't even know if that scan
Happened or not.
actually happened anyway, It doesn't even matter. But all it was that I read the word June
Right.
as July.
Yeah.
Because I was tired.
Yeah. Because you're a busy lady.
Shall we wrap it up there?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sticking with us through this. Please put your comments, comment on Instagram, comment on YouTube, comment wherever. We want to know what you think, because I'm stuck in my mind with this.
We need to hear from the court of public opinion.
Yes.
We really do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until
Sling that
next
mud.
time, everybody, you want to take us out?
Do I say stay creepy?
It's be creepy.
Oh my God, every time, guys. Be creepy,
But don't be a creep. Woo!
Thanks, babes.